A big welcome back to everyone here in our IUC coordination studio as well as in our joint virtual plenary. We hope that you enjoyed the deep dive that we had planned for you to discuss, to share experiences on different aspects of the green recovery. So from the very beginning of our conference today, we have heard that cities are indeed under the spotlight when it comes to drive forward a successful and sustainable transformation and the green recovery. They are not only the world's primary hub of economic and cultural activity, but they also function as administrators, service providers in a world that is indeed increasingly complex, where we have social, economic, and environmental aspects across sectors that, of course, are incredibly interlinked. Cities are also the most direct interface with our citizens. They have the difficult task to be leading by example, but also to be the one task with having to foster and support behavioral change in our communities to guarantee a more sustainable future, more sustainable patterns, be that consumption, mobility, and many other actions and activities that are underpinning our societies and our urban system. This past year, more than ever, clearly show that there is even a greater need to strengthen this urban resilience that we've been discussing about today. Crisis included in one posed by the coronavirus pandemic, but also the climate change crisis, and we will talk a little bit more in detail about that in our second plenary this afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you are going to be connecting from. Of course, they know no borders. Local, national, international authorities, entities, stakeholders that work together in order to limit their impact. And we need indeed a lot of bold leaders that are willing to take decisive actions in collaboration with all of these partners across levels. So our IUC cities, as you heard today, and especially the cities that we have also having taken part in our conversation today, represent a great example of this leadership that I just mentioned. They have been inspiring each other for the past 4 years. They have been motivating and pushing each other for the past 4 years. They have also leveraged as much as possible each other's knowledge to learn and to exchange with each other. So today, of course, it has been no different, and we really hope that you had the opportunity to enjoy and all the different examples and thoughts and inspiration that we've tried to bring together today for you. Now, to help me and to help us all sharing some insight not only on the great results of the discussions that we had today, but also of the overall International Urban Cooperation Program, it is my great pleasure to invite Rona Holt, Senior Advisor at the Directorate General for Regional Urban Policy of the European Commission, to give us some closing remarks and some insights and thoughts. Rona, the floor is yours.
Everyone, it's very early in the morning if you happen to be listening in from Latin America. Georgia, for passing the floor to me and for the help that your organization has provided. It has been a great pleasure to participate in this fourth city-to-city event under the International Urban Cooperation Program. I would like to thank the organizers, and particularly the IUC Coordination Unit, for inviting me to give concluding remarks to the morning session in European time, late evening in China, very early morning perhaps in the Americas. I was particularly delighted to listen to colleagues inside the External Action Service. As you know, we do not get an awful lot of opportunities to meet at the present time during our second lockdown, and in particular to hear that they are so happy with the experience of this first generation of international urban cooperation. And as I will say later, this means that there are some news for good news for post 2020. One of the things that I am particularly pleased about with regard to this experience in 2017 is the way that we have created a massive international community of cities working very much with a shared vision on themes relating to sustainable urban development. And we have 166 cities in total across the globe working on these themes. From the EU point of view, we've been particularly keen to advance our urban agenda, which has now some 14 themes relating to sustainable urban development, everything from the circular economy to the security in public places, to housing, to mobility, to climate adaptation. And these have been for us very much the substance of this cooperation over the past years. We also, of course, have very much sought to put the program in the context of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17, as everyone knows, but the particular importance has been attached to number 11, to the building of resilient cities and communities. And the word resilient has never been more appropriate than it has been during the last 9 or 10 months in the context of the global pandemic. And resilience now is a multidimensional concept that is very much the watchword for our way forward over the coming years. I was particularly interested to see what the cities in IUC Component 1 have been focusing on during the last few years, and it's particularly pleasing to see a fairly wide diversity of thematic priorities among the cities, led by, interestingly, the theme of social inclusion and urban regeneration. For me, that is interesting because I think that one thing that the global pandemic has shown us in our individual countries and cities is that the word inclusion needs to be added to the word sustainable when we think about the way we move forward for our future development. And I'm very much in favor of the notion that we have a focus on sustainable and inclusive urban development. But we also have other important themes. It's very encouraging, for example, to see the circular economy with such emphasis, because there is widespread agreement that we cannot continue as a global society with our current rate of consumption of scarce resources. But we also have blue and green infrastructure management, climate change, mobility, and of course, smart cities. And these themes were very prominent in the presentations from diverse sources in the sessions that we had earlier today. As I was saying earlier, the way that international urban cooperation, the program has developed, has been regarded as a success story. And indeed, one of my colleagues in the European Union's External Action Service described IUC as the flagship program of the partnership instrument being the source of funding for IUC. And this means that we really seem to have a success story on our hands. And the most important consequence for me is that it means that it's not coming to an end in December 2020. In fact, we have a new generation of IURC beginning in 2021. It has, on the one hand, city-to-city cooperation in the field of sustainable urban development, and on the other hand, region-to-region cooperation in the field of innovation systems. Region-to-region, the word region in this sense means the sub-national level. Once again, we will be seeking to make this cooperation as concrete as possible through the development of shared visions under urban cooperation action plans and regional cooperation action plans. And we will also pursue what we've come to call the cluster methodology. In other words, as well as the possibility for one region and one city to cooperate, and one city and one city to cooperate, and one region to cooperate. We also wish to see clusters of regions and clusters of cities working together on shared themes of interest. And in that way, we believe that we generate more scope for successful cooperation and for more possibilities for cities and regions to find partners interested in sharing experience with them. The other pleasing aspect of the new IURC program is the extension of its geographical scope. And I'm very happy to welcome to the city-to-city cooperation cities in Indonesia, Malaysia, Republic of Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and Australia and New Zealand, who will be joining our existing group of cities who have the experience of IUC since 2017. Up until the present, we only had the cooperation on innovation systems in the Americas, but they will now be joined by China and Japan, which is also a major geographical expansion of our interests. The innovation, very briefly, is very important for us because we have in the European Union the deep conviction that innovation has to be undertaken below the sub-national level and not just through national research and development programs. It's important to engage the actors on the ground with their specialist knowledge of the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities. And we know from experience that the regions really get a lot of added value from this kind of cooperation. The new IURC program visually on the map looks like the following. Everything that is colored is now in the program, with the expansion in the Asiatic and Australo-Asiatic regions of the globe. And these have all now been settled. The contracts have been decided, and we're very much gearing up for the implementation phase as of January 2021. Let me just conclude my presentation with a few remarks on my side. First of all, as has been said on a number of occasions this morning, we are now in the EU preparing for a major recovery program post-COVID, with a combination of grants and loans from the European Union budget, which has undergone its biggest expansion in history. So we are, as it were, backing our convictions with real financial resources. Second important point from my point of view is that at the EU level, we continue to have the belief in decentralized intervention, and that regional and city actors from both the public and private sectors have to be engaged in the process. It's not just a matter of the actors on the internal EU side, but also on the external side. And international cooperation will continue to play a key role in developing this new agenda, as we call it in the EU, the Green Deal, and the International Urban and Regional Cooperation Programme. It will be a key element of that external dimension. So for all my friends and colleagues in the cities and regions, and for all those friends and colleagues that I have not met, but who will be joining the program, I hope, in 2021, we are now creating an opportunity for you to address the challenges you face by working together with cities and regions from other countries under the IURC program towards a more sustainable and inclusive model of regional and urban development. As you will have heard from the discussion earlier, there is a lot of evidence that when we had the major global pandemic of 1918, sometimes misnomered as the Spanish flu, there was basically a substantial return to business as usual within a very short period of time. We across the globe have seen that in this pandemic, we have been able to make a lot of progress, which might not otherwise have been possible in such a short space of time, in building more sustainable and inclusive models of urban and regional development. We now know that vaccines are coming on the market, so to speak, and that we may therefore have a much brighter 2021 than 2020. But what we must not lose are the genuine gains that the COVID pandemic has imposed on our models of regional and urban development. And with that thought, I would like to thank you for your attention. I wish you a good rest of global event later today, and of course, many successes in the future, particularly perhaps under IURC. Thank you for your attention.
I would like you all to join us again at 3 p.m. So in about 3 hours, actually, from now, to join us and to discuss the next part of our program of today, which will dive more into the topic of climate. We will look into climate ambition and the importance of pursuing strategies toward carbon neutrality by 2050. What are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and what are the solutions that are already being implemented, discussed, and replicated within our network. With that, I want to thank you very much for your participation, all the speakers for their contribution, all the moderators for their support, and the coordination team also for their technical assistance. Again, apologies for the hiccup with some of the connections. Hopefully, we will not have the same challenge this afternoon. And if you are not joining us this afternoon, my great thank you to all of you and to all the cities that have been part of the IUC program for the past 4 years. I really hope our paths will cross again in the future. And keep up the good work. You are doing a fantastic job, and you are very inspiring to all of us and to all of the other cities that are part of our community. So with that, I would like to thank you and close our first part of our final conference. Thank you once again, and speak to you soon.